Fort Sumter, Charleston County, South Carolina, April 12, 1861. The Civil War was about to begin, and our world would never be the same. After a group of 7 states is seceded from the Union, South Carolina being one of them, ordered the Union to remove troops from Fort Sumter, which is located in Charleston Harbor. When the Union declined to give up the fort, the South grew angry. The Union troops in the fort, led by Major Robert Anderson, were reluctant to give in to the demands of the South. After the deadline for a settlement passed, without an agreement, the Confederate soldiers gave the Union an ultimatum: surrender the fort or they would begin to shoot at the island fortress. When the Union didn't budge, the South kept their word and began the bombardment. From nearby forts Moultrie and Johnson, the Confederates launched their attack. The Union sustained an onslaught of gun and cannon fire from the Confederates, who were well equipped and positioned to regain the fort. However, Major Anderson found his Union men to be ill-prepared. The Union was only armed with 60 guns, and many of them were located out in the open where they would be easy targets for the Confederates. In addition, many of the fort's cannons were mounted at the top of the fort, where the Union soldiers would also be vulnerable. The fort was originally built to battle naval attacks, but the powerful Confederate cannons on land rendered the fort inadequate. As the battle stretched on to the next day, April 13th, the Union ran out of ammunition. Confederate attacks destroyed the men's quarters and knocked over Fort Sumter's flagpole. The Confederates, interpreting this as a surrender, made their way to the Union fort. Consequently, Major Anderson of the Union surrendered and the battle was over. The next day, the Union returned Fort Sumter to the Confederates and the surrender ceremony began. There were no casualties during the actual battle. However, during the 100-gun salute, some cartridges went off from a spark and killed Union privates Daniel Ho and Edward Galloway. These were the first deaths in the war. The Battle of Fort Sumter was the initial wave of violence in the Civil War. The battle convinced both sides that war was inevitable. Shortly after the battle, the Union rallied around Abraham Lincoln and began the fight to restore the country.